"We've got a contract for you," Mama Kay said. As always, she sat like a queen, her back straight, sumptuous dress perfect, hair immaculately coiffed if grey at the roots. This morning she had dark circles under her eyes. Kylar guessed that none of the Sakage's surviving leaders had slept much since the Caladoran invasion. "Good morning to you too," Kylar said, settling into the wing-backed chair in the study. Mama Kay didn't turn to face him, looking instead out her window. Last night's rain had quenched most of the fires in the city, but many still smoked, bathing the city in a crimson dawn. The waters of the Plith River, that divided rich eastern Scenaria from the Warrens, looked as red as blood. Kylar wasn't sure that was all because of the smoke-obscured sun, either. In the week since the coup, the Caladoran invaders had massacred thousands. Mama Kay said, "There's a wrinkle. The Deader knows it's coming." "How's he know?" The Sakage wasn't usually so sloppy. "We told him." Kylar rubbed his temples. The Sakage would only tell someone so that if the attempt failed, the Sakage wouldn't be committed. That meant the Deader could only be one man, Cenaria's conqueror, Calador's God-King, Geroth Usul. "I just came to get my money," Kylar said. "All of Durzo's, my safe houses burned down. I only need enough to bribe the gate guards." He'd been giving her a cut of his wages to invest since he was a child. She should have plenty for a few bribes. Mama Kay flipped silently through sheets of rice paper on her desk and handed one to Kylar. At first he was stunned by the numbers. He was involved in the illegal importation of riot weed and half a dozen other addictive plants, owned a racehorse, had a stake in a brewery and several other businesses, part of a loan shark's portfolio, and owned partial cargoes of items like silks and gems that were legitimate, except for the fact the Sakage paid 20% in bribes rather than 50% in tariffs. The sheer amount of information on the page was mind-boggling. He didn't know what half of it meant. "I own a house?" Kylar asked. "Owned," Mama Kay said. "This column denotes merchandise lost in the fires or looting." There were checks next to all but a silk expedition, and one for riot weed. Almost everything he had owned was lost. "Neither expedition will return for months, if at all. If the God-King keeps seizing civilian vessels, they won't come back at all. Of course, if he were dead—" He could see where this was going. "This says my share is still worth 10 to 15,000. I'll sell it to you for 1,000. That's all I need." She ignored him. "They need a third whip boy to make sure it works. 50,000 gunders for one kill, Kylar. With that much, you can take a lean and uli anywhere. You'll have done the world a good turn, and you'll never have to work again. It's just one last job." He wavered only for a moment. "There's always one last job. I'm finished." "This is because of Eileen, isn't it?" Mama Kay asked. "Mama Kay, do you think a man can change?" She looked at him with a profound sadness. "No. And he'll end up hating anyone who asks him to." Kylar got up and walked out the door. In the hallway he ran into Jarl. Jarl was grinning like he used to when they were growing up on the streets and he was up to no good. Jarl was wearing what must be the new fashion, a long tunic with exaggerated shoulders paired with slim trousers tucked into high boots. It looked vaguely Caladoran. His hair was worked into elaborate micro-braids capped with gold beads that set off his black skin. "I've got the perfect job for you," Jarl said, his voice lowered but unrepentant about eavesdropping. "No killing?" Kylar asked. "Not exactly,"